Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Chad Lemon and this is the Digital Parenting Workshop. Several years ago, I started using and offering a resource on my website. At that point, it was my personal website, but now it's at digitalparentingworkshop.com. I've called it a parent-child device contract. And this was a contract that I got that it was not written by me. It was not written by anybody that I know really. It was actually featured on a ABC News story back, I believe in 2013 or 2014, somewhere around that time frame. It was a mother who was giving her 15-year-old son an iPhone for the first time. As the holidays are upon us, as Christmas time is upon us, you may be considering a new device or a phone for the first time for your 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old. And it is incredibly important to start from the right point. And the question I want to ask you today is, should you have a device contract with your child? And again, we may say, well, I don't need a contract. Well, I trust my child. I know that I've taught them better than that. I know that I've taught them well, so they don't need it. But let me remind you, kids are going to be kids. My kids are not old enough necessarily to have their own devices yet, but when my kids do have a device of their own, they will have a written down contract that we go through, that we periodically look back at and review those types of rules. And the one that I have found that this lady wrote back in the day has been incredible. Some of it is even comical, it's funny, it's practical, but it makes so much sense. And I'm not going to read all of them, but I want to just pick out a few here to read. And there's 19 items on this list. And it's a literal, I agree and abide by every single one of these rules. And if I don't, I will lose my phone privileges. It says it right there to sign here at the bottom of this thing. And so when you give a child a set of rules, there's something psychological there that says these are the expectations that I have. The first rule on here, this is really interesting, is the philosophy behind the device that you give your child. Rule number one here is, it is my phone, and again, this is the parent talking. It is my phone, I bought it, I pay for it, I am loaning it to you. That right there sets the tone for all the rest of these rules that are on this contract. And it's amazing to think about the change in perspective that this has when you're talking about, oh, that's my phone, that's my device, and I'm allowing you to use it, to rent it, so to speak. Number two is one of the most important ones ever as well. I will always know the password to any account that you have, period. That is one of my number one rules in digital parenting as well. If you don't know the username and password, then how are you supposed to protect your children or know what they're doing? Part of protection is knowing what they're doing, what they're involved with, what kind of accounts they have. And it is absolutely essential that you know what their usernames and passwords are to different things. Number three, and I'm not going to go over every single one of these, but I'm just going to hit some of the high points, especially the first few here. Number three says you are limited to 5 social media accounts. 5 social media accounts. Now again, I wouldn't recommend social media for any child that is under probably 15, 14 years old. Never would I recommend it for any child in any type of middle school. There's a movement now called Wait Until 8th. And they're trying to get parents to wait at least until 8th grade before you sign up or let your child sign up for any social media accounts. And that could be as simple as something like Minecraft or Roblox when they're a little bit smaller. But then when we get into Facebook and TikTok and Instagram and all those different ones, we need to be very, very cautious at the amount of those kinds of social networks that we allow our children to be on as well. It says you're limited to 5 social media accounts. Of course, I'll know the passwords to all these accounts. I will check up on these accounts at random, regular intervals. You will not create any accounts without my permission. You will not change the password without my permission. So again, laying those ground rules to really let your child know what you expect with this kind of thing. You see, when I hand over the keys to my child, when I give them the keys to a vehicle, there's going to be some ground rules. And I'm going to say, you don't go here. You call me when you get there. You don't go to this person's house, or you're not allowed to go here. You're not all these other different things. And so why are we not setting ground rules when it comes to these devices? We have to set these, and this is part of this contract that we're talking about, and you can call it whatever you want. You can call it a list of rules, you can call it a contract, but there's something inside of a child's brain that says, this is what my parents expect of me, and that's going to cause them, I believe, in so many different circles, it's been studied that when children know that there are rules and they know that their parents are watching them actively, they're far less likely to go out and be tempted or seek out trouble, to do what their friends are doing without asking your permission or anything like that. Number 4 here says, if it rings, answer it. That's a big thing with kids nowadays. They just don't answer the phone, and I mean, it's crazy how that happens. If it rings, answer it. It is a phone. Say hello. Use your manners. Again, that comical, the comical stuff coming out here. Do not ever ignore a phone call if it reads mom or dad. Not ever, never, ever. And so again, some of the stuff here is really interesting to look at, but your kids need to know that when you call, no matter what is going on, they need to answer. That is absolutely important. Kind of going on here as something we've talked about, a couple of different things about handing the phone in promptly. At this, the example here says 7:30 p.m. every school night and every weeknight at 9 p.m. Children should not be going to, it doesn't matter what age they are, if they're teenagers or not, should not be going to bed with a phone, with a device that they can just look up anything they want to on it. Now, you may have internet protection set on the device. You may have internet protection set on your home Wi-Fi as well, and you should, but that doesn't mean that your child still can go and take their device into their bedrooms. So again, that's one of those things that you'll have to decide as well. Number 7, if it falls into the toilet, smashes on the ground, vanishes into thin air, talking about the phone, then you are responsible for the replacement costs or repairs. You must mow a lawn, babysit, stash some birthday money, and it will happen, and you should be prepared. Now, what I've seen parents do with this kind of rule is to say, hey, we're going to pay for insurance of your phone, and it's going to be $3 a month, $5 a month, and you are responsible for paying that. If you don't pay for it, guess what? You will have to pay the full cost of a phone to get it repaired, because it is inevitable that your child will break or lose a phone. Again, plan for it, because it will happen. And of course, there's rules here. It says don't text, say, or email something that you would not say out loud to the without their parents in the same room. Censor yourself. Don't text anything through this device that you would not say in person. Again, that's just a practical example, but that's also a biblical example of how to be a Christian and act like those different things. No pornography. And again, if your internet and your Wi-Fi is secured and you have those restrictions in place for your child, they should not be able to find those things. But again, they should not be using this device for those things, of course. And then I love some of the ones that she comes up with that are just, they're rules, but they're kind of not really hard and fast rules. Leave your phone at home sometimes and feel safe with that decision. It's not an extension of you. It's not a lot. Learn to live without it. The fear of missing out is more powerful sometimes, and don't let it get the best of you. I love that. I love this one as well too. Download music that is classic or different from the other millions of your peers that listen to the same exact stuff. Your generation has access to music like never before in history. Take advantage of that. Expand your horizons. Again, one of those not hard and fast rules, but something that kids should think about as well. 18 says, keep your eyes up. See the world that is happening around you. Stare out a window. Listen to the birds. Take a walk. All other sorts of suggestions here. I think it's important for us to give our children permission to not be on these devices nonstop. They have this peer pressure that they feel like they need to be on these devices all the time, and that's just not the case. I've heard from more and more kids that said, if my parents just told me to leave my phone at home, I could just tell my friends that my phone was at home or my phone was off or whatever like that. Give them permission sometimes to not be on them. And it's amazing what you'll see, I think. The last one, number 19 here. And again, you can adjust this. You can download this on my website and adjust this how you want. But I love this one. It says, you will mess up. I will take away your phone. We will sit down and we will talk about it. We will start over again. You and I, we are always learning. I am on your team and we are in this together. I think this is a wonderful list of rules to start with and build that digital relationship of digital device safety around. I think this is a wonderful starting point. So if you are giving a child a device for the first time this Christmas, and happy holidays to every single one of you, make sure that you've got those rules attached. Make sure that you've spent time with that device before it ever reaches their hands. Make sure that you've secured it. Make sure you've secured your Wi-Fi. Make sure that you've done all those things. You can find all those tools and more at digitalparentingworkshop.com. I stand by to answer all of your questions. The most questions I get all year are right after Christmas, because there's so many new devices out there. There's so many parents who have given kids new devices, or they have questions about those devices after they've been given. And so, again, if you have questions, email me on the website, get in contact with me, digitalparentingworkshop.com. And of course, be sure to like and subscribe. That actually really helps the channel. I'd love to get to 100 subscribers before the end of the calendar year. It's not optimistic, but I'd love to get to that as well. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know how I can help, and we'll hopefully see you after the holidays.